The senator from Kansas.
Madam President, thanks for the recognition. I want to speak briefly about the National Defense Authorization Act, which is our topic of business soon. And I want to compliment the Armed Services Committee for their diligence in their efforts to authorize appropriations for our armed forces in a very thoughtful and deliberative manner. I have submitted several amendments. I want to talk about a particular one to that underlying bill. I want to visit a moment about Amendment number 2269, which is co-sponsored by the senior senator from Kansas, Senator Roberts, as well as Senator Gillibrand from New York and the Democrat leader, Senator Schumer of New York. Our amendment takes the same approach that the committee takes by addressing the Army's internal process on force structure, to thoughtfully deliberate how and where the Army makes smart investments, which include the stationing decisions of soldiers and families that have a consequence not only on those soldiers and families, but also on the cost of defending our country for decades to come. Both the Department of Defense and the Army, fortunately, are now experiencing much-needed period of time in which there is growth, opportunities for us to spend additional dollars to defend our nation. Our armed forces are modernizing, and they're increasing their readiness and their lethality to be in a position to better deter, confront, and defeat potential adversaries in a security environment more complex, more difficult, more volatile than probably any time in our country's history, certainly within recent time. During this moment of growth, the Army ought not miss the opportunity to conduct due diligence in all of their decisions and invest wisely to pay down the cost in the future. The Army is focusing on reform and seeking to maximize the value of every dollar, to operate transparently, and to appropriately use the resources that the Congress has entrusted with them. They are taxpayer dollars. With this focus on reform and transparency and on using every dollar wisely, this amendment, number 2269, helps the Army maximize the value of every dollar, operate transparently with Congress, and appropriately use the resources entrusted to them. I've been working with Army staff and senior leadership since February of this year to better understand their process, and I thank them for their efforts and the straightforward conversations that we've had during this process. Based upon our conversations and testimony, my amendment codifies the transparency they are seeking and updates the Army's stationing process that will better ensure the Army is making wiser decisions, more cost-effective decisions, and are making decisions that are beneficial in the long term. Stationing decisions are long-term decisions, and they will impact the Army for many, many years to come. If we have learned anything from recent budget cycles, as the Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Neller, has said in his testimony before our Appropriations Defense Subcommittee, he said this several times, the only certainty is uncertainty. The Army has the benefit of a growing budget right now, but in future years there will surely be periods of fiscal stress and uncertainty where smart investments today will be paid forward. Our intent with the amendment is to support the Army in making decisions based on fair, open, and comprehensive data, particularly long-term factors, cost factors in particular, that will help the Army save dollars in future out years. Those savings can be put where they are desperately needed, toward training, supporting our soldiers and their families, sustaining our weapons, and increasing the Army's readiness and lethality. I appreciate the help I've had from the Armed Services Committee, and I appreciate the chairman, Senator McCain, and his staff, and I appreciate very much my colleague from Oklahoma, Senator Inhofe, in his efforts in this regard. And I appreciate their interest in my amendment. I'll be happy to respond to any questions that my colleagues may have on the merits of this amendment. I thank the President and yield the floor.